should you sell your business to a private equity firm? And if you're doing about $2 million, $3 million in EBITDA and you plan to sell your business at some point, then you can probably expect to get offers or interest from private equity firms. That's right around the number that they'll dip down to, $2 million, $3 million in EBITDA and up. And so if that is the size of your business and you plan to sell, there's a good chance you're going to get interest from private equity. Now, should you sell to a private equity group or not? And really it's preference, but in this video I want to touch on 3 typical structures you can expect that's going to come from private equity, and from there you can make your decision on if that's a route that you would want to take. Now, you may have heard good stories about selling to private equity or bad stories about selling to private equity, and so you could be biased on that decision already. But the reason why this is maybe a topic when you Google it or search on YouTube is because private equity tends to come with a lot of structuring or heavy structure. And what I mean by that is the way they craft their offers or present their offers isn't necessarily always just straightforward, cut and dry. Here's your purchase price, we're done, we'll part ways, right? There's a lot more to it, and they tend to be a lot more creative than the individual entrepreneur or maybe a strategic business that's acquiring another business, right? And so what you'll tend to see, and now you can get more creative than this and less creative, but from my experience, I usually see one of these 3 type of structures coming from private equity on a business that is looking to sell, that's doing 2 million, 3 million EBITDA and up, right? Usually a little bit more than that, but they're starting to dip down to that $2 to $3 million line. So the first one being probably the most common one that I see is rolling over equity. And so let's say your business is valued at $15 million. They might give you 60% of that $15 million up front, and then you roll over the equity in the business into the new business, the new entity for that private equity firm, which means you can cash it out at a later date, depending on what the conditions of that rollover is, or people like to say second bite of the apple. And so that can be appealing or it cannot be appealing, right? And so one, you're not getting your 100% valuation up front, and the equity is now being rolled over into this new business, this new entity that the private equity now is in control of. So you become a minority owner in this new entity that this private equity has, right? Whether it's your business or other businesses rolled into one, merged into one, you are now a minority owner of that, which can go one of 2 ways. Your equity could drop or your equity could increase, where you can then sell that portion, that remaining part, for more money down the line. Now, why that can be appealing, obviously, is because you can make more money than what your 15 million valuation was. But the downsides to that is sometimes there are conditions that come with rolling over that equity. Sometimes, not always, but it just depends on what the 2 parties agree upon. But you can then become an employee to that private equity firm. Maybe you stay there and manage the business, or you're involved in some regard. Maybe you can just walk and you're not involved and you just have equity, minority stake in this business now. But usually what I see, the seller has to stay around for a period of time for specific roles and responsibilities within this new business. And so I've heard the horror stories of business owners selling to private equity. Now they're an employee and they report to somebody, and that's a really difficult thing for business owners to do, especially if they've been an entrepreneur their whole life and they've owned the business for 30, 40 years. That's a tough thing to do, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Rollover equity, it's a very common structure you'll see in deals. You're not getting 100% up front. You are going to roll over some of that equity, be a minority shareholder in that new entity, and you may become then an employee or a manager of some role, reporting to someone and having to follow their new systems and procedures in that entity. Now, the second one is a clawback, and that is really just protecting the buyer for exactly what it means. They can claw back some of their money if certain provisions aren't met after the acquisition is done, whether it's certain things aren't accurate with their financials or certain benchmarks or performances aren't hit. The buyer can then claw back some of their money, so it's a safety net for the buyer, for the private equity firm. So that might also not be very appealing, but if you're confident in the growth and the trajectory of the business and everything has been accurate that you have shared throughout the due diligence process, then maybe you don't have too much worry in going that route with the clawback phrase or clawback component within the purchase agreement. So clawback is exactly what it sounds like. The buyer can claw back money if certain things, and I say things because it can be a variety of things, are not met after the deal is closed. They can then get some of that money back. Now the third one, the last one, being an earnout, which a little similar to clawback, but not really. It's more of incentivizing you, the business owner or the seller of the business, to earn more money, right? Or to earn additional payouts after the sale of the business. And so let's go back to that $15 million valuation. Maybe you're offered 80% upfront, right? And you can then earn additional money for a period of time if certain benchmarks are hit. Maybe they give you $15 million. Maybe it's really competitive and they offer you the full price with other earnout structures. And so typically what you'll see with that is maybe it goes for 3 years or for 5 years, and they're setting specific, whether it's EBITDA benchmarks or revenue benchmarks. Now, as you're aware, you can move numbers around and line items around to change that EBITDA number, and so I think it's usually smart to go off of revenue, just overall sales volume as the benchmark. And so if you're doing a certain amount of revenue when you sell the business and you set the benchmarks for 5% growth or 7% growth or 10% growth 12 months after close, and then 24 months after close, and then 36 months after close, every benchmark that the business hits, the company now hits post-close, you get paid out a certain amount or a certain percentage. So earnouts can be very incentivizing for both the seller and the buyer because you really are working together for a common goal of growing the business, continuing to grow the business. And if the growth continues to happen, you get paid, they make money, everyone makes money. So it does incentivize both parties. So it can be something that you would want to consider. Now, for the most part, earnouts, you're not going to get 100% cash at close with an earnout as well. It's usually to bridge the gap between what you're looking for, what you're asking for, and the difference of what they're offering, right? And so they might be coming in lower than what you're asking for, but with an earnout to earn out the rest of that asking price. Just depends on how competitive the offers are coming in on your business. So those are 3: rolling over some equity, clawbacks, and earnout structures that you could expect to see from private equity. And so that's just something that you have to think and decide if you want to go that route, or at least just really take a look at what all the terms and conditions are on these offers to see if you're okay with, maybe you have to stay and be in management, or you're confident that the company will grow to these certain benchmarks to earn out additional cash for your deal. Now, if someone else comes along and they're an individual or a family office or another business that wants to acquire your business, and the private equity is offering you $10 million on your $15 million asking price with a rollover, clawback, or an earnout, and here comes another business that wants to acquire your business, or an individual who wants to acquire your business, and they're offering you 12.5 or 13 cash at close, now you've got something to think about, right? Because you have a full price offer where you don't have to be involved. There's no contingencies tied to the money that you will make post-close, no earnouts, clawbacks, or rolling over equity, and you just get your 12.5, 13 million cash at close. So you do then have something to think about. If your business is 2 million, 3 million EBITDA and up, you're most likely going to get interest on your business. That's a very good sweet spot for a lot of buyers, including every financial buyer and strategic buyer there are out there. So you will get interest, and it is something to consider, and it is something to think about. And so you as the business owner just have to take some time to think about what you want during the process of selling your business and after selling your business. Do you want to remain involved? Do you want to be part of this new team, this new buyer team, to continue growing the business? Do you want to be part of some management level or consulting team at that new business or the new entity? Or do you want to just walk away, and are you willing to maybe take a little bit less to just get 100% at close and walk away? Now, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying you're going to have to weigh your options as these letter of intents, these LOIs, these offers start coming in. So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, or what you can expect to see for offers on your business or anything at all, let me know in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me at my website. My name is Jordan Kelleher. I'm a business broker. I'm the founder of Kelleher Acquisitions. We're based out of Austin, Texas, but we work with clients nationwide, so I hope this video helps.